Welcome to a new video. In today's video, we're going to go over a warranty item that I'm going to take care of. Lately, I've noticed our RV bouncing a lot more than usual, and upon inspection, this is what I discovered. So if you look at this shock really closely, you can see the oil leaking all over the place here. So I've tried calling Dynamax warranty, and I didn't get much headway with them, as well as I also have the aftermarket suspension. This is the Kelderman air ride system, so it has a custom shock on here. So this is not a standard Ram 5500 shock. So this has the Kelderman shock. Looks like it's made by an aftermarket party here, but I also called Kelderman and didn't get any headway with their warranty. They actually never called me back. I called them several times. So I ended up calling their new sales department and had some shocks sent to me. So this one's blown out completely. So I'm guessing the other one on the other side's been working overtime, and that's why this truck has been riding pretty bouncy. So I ordered the shocks, so let's go over and replace these shocks. Now this type of shock is pretty easy to replace. Unlike those front struts I had on the Sprinter van. I don't know how much I will show you, but this is more point of warranty. I'm going to go ahead and replace this. And because neither company really helped me with the warranty, I'm going to go ahead and send them the bill on this just to get a reimbursement. And hopefully they'll take care of me, because these are pretty expensive. It's about $460 some odd dollars for two of the shocks, because they do come in pairs. And I'm guessing the one on the other side is pretty much blown out as well, because it's been working overtime. So let's go ahead and replace this. All right, this is what I have. So I ordered these shocks from Kelderman directly, and looks like it's a Raptor shocks. Here's the part number, and they do come in a two-part kit. Go ahead and open this up. Now you don't have to go with the OEM shock, but looking at the shock, check this out. Go with an aftermarket shock. Well, this is aftermarket already because it's set up for the Kelderman. It's pretty lightweight. I don't know if this is really set up for the 5500 with the full RV conversion. Maybe the standard truck, but I can't see this lasting very long. But if you wanted to check aftermarket or with somebody else, what you would have to do is get some basic dimensions. And looking at it wise, looks like from center hole to center hole, it's about 20 inches. So really, you need any 20-inch shock. And let's look at the bushing mount here. This will help out if you're shopping for a shock. So it looks like it's 1.5 inches wide. And same on the bottom. It's 1.5 inches wide from outside of bushing to outside of bushing. And then if this is fully compressed, this will go all the way in. You could just do a simple math and subtract this portion. So this is a gas charge shock, so when you push it in, it automatically comes out super slow. I think that's all there is. I don't think I really need to show you anything else, but if these blow out again, I may end up just going with the aftermarket shock, a little beefier, because I don't believe this one is actually strong enough. But that's my opinion. But let's go ahead and install these. Alright, I ended up cranking the wheel all the way to the right position so I can get to these bolts a little easier. I don't know how much I can really show you in here, but let's go ahead and do this. So the tools that you'll need is a 3/4 inch open end wrench, and a deep socket, and a regular socket here. I'm using air tools to make this a lot easier. You can do this with, we'll call it hand tools, but I don't think I'm going to trouble myself with that. Let's go ahead and get this taken off. Go ahead and do these upper bolts first. Looks like there's actual spacers on here, so the spacers went in between. And let's go ahead and take this bottom one out. This one might be a little bit more difficult because I don't know if my impact wrench will fit in here. it will not. So we'll have to take this one out by hand. And it's gonna spin on me. So I got a unique little 90-degree tool. I'll be right back. So I have this 90-degree impact wrench tool. Pretty hard to find. I don't know if you can actually find this. It is rebuildable. But now that I have the 90-degree tool, I can fit it on there like that. There we go. The bottom one here doesn't have a spacer, and you can see that. I don't know if you can see that oil's dripping like crazy here. That oil drip like crazy, and you can see that big pile down there. So we're gonna go ahead and replace this one out. Okay, we're gonna end up putting this stuff back together. It's gonna be a little tricky because I have to put these spacers in on both sides of the shock. We'll see how that goes. Okay, I'm having a problem installing this, and if you really look at this, there's a little grommet here with this metal insert, the bushing, and if you look on this side here, the bushing is recessed way back. So I'm going to have to pound this rubber piece in here because it will not fit with this rubber piece protruding like this. Alright, I ran into way too many problems. The bottom bushing also has the same problem. So the top and the bottom, I can't get in the brackets anymore. If you look at the bottom bracket here, it's going to be hard for the camera to pick up, but this bracket's bent way too far in, so it got squeezed in when it was tightened last time. So I can't get that shock mount to go in here, and I can't get this shock mount to go up here either. So I'm gonna have to figure out another plan here and regroup on this. So a simple job turned into a bigger job, just like they usually do. So let's see if I can get this fixed. All right, I got both the shocks back on the bench, and don't really want to play anymore. It's turning into frustration. But as I showed you, the metal insert, the bushing, this rubber doesn't go in all the way. That's for all four sides. It's like that. So I can't get this shock installed. I think what I'll do is I'll end up just cutting the excess rubber off. Maybe when they press this in, the rubber ended up getting stretched or something. But so I'm just gonna go ahead and chop these off. It'll make my install much easier. So I'm not sure if this is the proper thing to do, but I can't think of anything else to really do, because when I tried to pound it in, when I tried to pound this rubber portion in, it just protruded on the other side more. So like I mentioned, I think it ended up getting stretched during the original install. So I'm going to go ahead and use this saw here and get this cut off. I don't think you need to see this part, and we'll return when it's all done. Okay, you can see I cut this excess off, so it's more flush, and the install should go in pretty easy now. I'll have to do the other side here, the bottom part, and the other shock. So I'm not really impressed with the quality control. This is a USA made component, so I don't know what they're doing. I think this was made in Warroad, Minnesota as well, so a little disappointing on the quality control. Well, that was not fun. It took a little bit of time, but I did get it all cut down, top and bottom. I'm not going to show it on camera, but I'll probably take a wooden block and see if I can pound that out a little bit. And let's go ahead and get this bolt in. Get the spacer on. Okay, then I have the other spacer. Now that I've cut that excess piece off the rubber portion of the bushing, I can get this on. And just like that, I have the nut and washer. I'm also not going to give you the torque specs on these bolts. So this is a 3/4 inch grade 8 bolt. You'll be able to find torque specs online, but they did not give me torque specs with the instructions of the shock, which I'm surprised. Right, I did some things off camera here. Basically, I went down under, I compressed the shock by hand, pushed it up, and dropped it up from the top. I have it almost lined up, but it went down, and basically the holes don't line up. I need to bring the shock up a little bit. I'm going to use a floor jack here. With the floor jack in the way, I don't think I'll be able to get this on camera, but you could either use a floor jack, or another method is using like a strap wrench to compress that shock and line up the holes at the same time. But I won't bore you with this. A little disappointed on how everything all went together. You know, the quality control on these, even right down to the RV, I call it the sub-vendors components. Not the best, but we'll make do with this. I think I forgot to mention, Dynamax should obviously honor my reimbursement for this. It saved them a heck of a lot on labor, because I would have had to bring this to an RV repair shop first, have them diagnose it, and when they don't do chassis work, they'll have to send it to RAM. And RAM, of course, this is not a original part of the RAM truck, so they won't cover it under warranty, and all that back and forth and fighting back and forth, I'm sure there's going to be charges incurred. So this will be a lot easier or a lot less expensive for me to do it, but we'll see. I'll see if I can circle back in the physical video description in the future. I just want to get this done because that shock was leaking so bad and it didn't function at all. It basically is a collapsed shock, so I can't even actually go on another trip until this is done. So let me get this wrapped up. All right, I used the aid of this floor jack and this 2x and wedged it up there to line up the holes enough to put that bolt in. Took a little bit of effort, but finally got it done. So I'm going to wrap this up, and that should really be it. I need to tighten these bolts, and like I mentioned, I'm not giving you the torque specs on these. It didn't come with the torque specs, but you can check the grade 8 bolts 3/4 inch online and find some kind of random torque specs on this. But now that you see this done, and I gave you the measurements of the original shock, I think it'll be much easier for you to source an aftermarket shock, so you're not tied to using these shocks completely. All right, here I have the old shocks, and this is the shock that was blown out. You can see, let me turn this light on here. I don't know if you can see all the oil all over the place. The other thing too is the shock is actually not the same length anymore. It doesn't, I don't know if the camera will pick this up, but it doesn't extend out all the way. So that's, you can see that. Weird thing here too is there's a little O-ring here. It's not, and it's on the bottom of this. I don't know, looks like some kind of rubber damper here. And the new shocks have this rubber O-ring on top. Just the opposite. You would think you'd have an O-ring on the bottom side here, but not sure what that's all about. The other observation I had was, you can see that the original install, they actually cut this rubber section here as well. So they cut that out. So the actual measurement, I think in the original video I showed you it was 1.5 inches. It's more like 1.25 inches is the correct dimension. So that's both sides, 1.25 inches. And then on the bottom side, what I did recognize or notice is that they did not cut off this excess here. So I did replace, this is the passenger side. I did replace the passenger side, and I had no problems. That bracket wasn't too bent. It actually went in pretty easy. So I wish that was the case for the driver's side. But as you know, any supposedly easy project, there's always some complexity. But I'll keep this as a spare. And I don't know if I've sent Dynamax pictures of this this one here that's been leaking all over the place. So hopefully I will get my reimbursement on these shocks, but really light shocks, not very heavy duty at all. I mean, this is much lighter duty than what I had on the Sprinter van, so I'm surprised that they have such a wimpy shock for this heavy 5500 chassis. So I may upgrade these in the future. Like I said, any 20-inch shock will pretty much do. And if you just measure this portion here, that's about 2 inches. You can collapse the whole shock. The shaft is, let me see the shaft. The shaft is about 6 3/4 inches. So if you subtract this and the shaft, you should easily be able to come up with a replacement shock. But this is, I'll try these out for a little longer, but maybe I'll switch to some Bilstein shocks in the future. But that's really it for this video. Hopefully this entertained you a little bit, and if you want to tackle this on your own, hopefully you don't have a bent bracket that I have. But if you don't have a bent bracket, it's a pretty simple install. You do have to cut off the excess in this rubber bushing, but I would check that first. And really that's it. Hopefully you like videos like this, and I'll see you on the next video.